Hey, Nick Peterson here with another fundamental concept to go in this group and get packaged up and put wherever we put it. So here's one of the concepts in my book Bumpers that's really, really important, and it explains a lot of the reasons people are struggling, and that is an incentive misalignment. Now, if you look at like the Warren Buffetts and the Charlie Mungers of the world, they're notorious for saying getting incentives right. Right? It's all about getting incentives right. That is the most difficult thing. That is the most important thing. Is aligning incentives. Make sure the incentives are appropriate. Because remember, today's incentives are also tomorrow's entitlements. So the fundamental misalignment here is that we celebrate when there's a relative change, a positive relative change, meaning if you or a friend or a family member works really hard and loses 30 pounds, we celebrate that, rightfully so. If a house is on fire and firefighters come, heroic effort, put it out, we celebrate them, rightfully so. Uh, Back surgery, you get a back surgery, this surgeon works a miracle, you're up, you're walking, we celebrate that surgeon, rightfully so. The problem is that we do not appreciate maintenance. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. But let's go to something we're all kind of familiar with here, which is the yo-yo dieter. You've either been a yo-yo dieter or you know a few, right? And nutrition is always, it's something we can all kind of relate with one way or another. And people always say, I have a weight loss problem. Or business owners come to me and say, I have a marketing problem, I have a sales problem, I have a revenue problem, I have a profit problem. The thing is, if you've been in business for more than a year, you don't have a sales problem. Whoa, right? Because every time you've needed money, if you're still in business, every time you've needed to make sales, you have done it. You have figured it out, right? So you don't have a sales problem. Just like the most people don't have a weight loss problem. They really don't. They know how to lose weight, eat less, exercise more. What they don't know is how to do it in a sustainable way. Um, Same with business, right? I talk to business owners that have been in business for 5 or 10 years and they have a sales problem. And that's not true. If you had a sales problem, you would have been out of business really quickly. You have a maintenance problem. You can't maintain what you do. And here is the biggest reason why. There's systems, there's tactics, there's strategies, there's all this stuff. But none of that matters until you appreciate when bad things don't happen. Appreciate when bad things don't happen. So, for example, if you stay the same weight your whole life, let's say you exercise and you watch what you eat and stay your whole weight your whole life, nobody ever celebrates that. Now we celebrate the friend or the family member that lost 30 pounds, and we don't celebrate the ones that never gained it in the first place. So you can see, and I'm not saying we shouldn't celebrate people that get out of a tough spot, but by not equally celebrating people that never get in a tough spot, you can see how the incentive starts to tilt towards dopamine hits. If I dig myself in a hole and I dig myself back out, boom, I'm gonna get a dopamine hit. I'm gonna celebrate myself. Other people are gonna celebrate me. And if we know anything, if social media has taught us anything, it's that people will do a lot of stuff to get that dopamine hit, right? So by not appreciating when bad things don't happen, right, we create an incentive mismatch for the people around us, but more importantly, ourselves. More importantly, ourselves. We stay the same weight or we do the same amount of revenue. We're just kind of cruising. It's kind of like boring. There's not a lot of progress. If you're an entrepreneur and you bias momentum, like we do, you know what I'm talking about. So what we start doing, typically unconsciously, is we kind of dig ourselves into a hole so that we can dig ourselves back out. Boom, dopamine hit. Other people celebrate us. We feel good. We got out of a tough spot. We overcame this adversity. The problem is, you end up building a life, right, where you're digging a hole, you're putting time and resources into digging a hole, you're putting time and resources into digging back out, you're celebrating, the people around you are celebrating, you're sharing on social media, and you just put a tremendous amount of time and resources into being in the same place. Where if you learn to appreciate and get the same dopamine hits when bad things don't happen, right? When you learn how to appreciate maintenance when it's appropriate, you would be in the same place, but you wouldn't have spent the time and the resources. So you would still have the time and the resources in order to move forward. Okay, so it's the concept of having misaligned incentives, which is because we don't fully appreciate when bad things don't happen, and because we celebrate a relative change, which is appropriate. I have no problem with that. But we celebrate when somebody digs themselves out of a hole, or we dig ourselves out of a hole. All we're doing is we are trading the people around us, and we're trading ourselves that when we aren't having the big wins that we want, we can just sabotage ourselves a little bit, right? So again, the yo-yo dieter, they might lose 20 pounds, gain 20 pounds, lose 20 pounds, gain 20 pounds, lose 20 pounds, gain 20 pounds, so on and so forth. And what they have is they have a series of wins, right? Celebrate, and then life goes on. They gain 20 pounds back, and then boom, a celebration, life goes on. You have a series of wins that have been celebrated. You have been trained to kind of repeat this behavior over and over, and you're in the same place. You're in the same place. So business owners, relationships, fitness, weight loss, all these things, people end up in the same patterns. And how you get out of it is you learn to appreciate when bad things don't happen. You learn to appreciate maintenance. There's a lot of ways to do it. I talk about it in Bumpers, my book, bumpersbook.com. So it takes a little bit of hindsight to understand the peaks and the valleys. But that's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about we cannot always move forward. Nothing happens in a straight line. And to try to force that, a lot of times, we get into trouble so we can get out of trouble and feel like we move forward. Now, we move forward, so when we dig ourselves a hole, right, and then we dig out, we have made progress from the bottom of the hole. But we haven't made progress from that rolling average where we were anyway, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that gets you to think a little bit, because this is why most business owners get stuck. This is why they're stuck. They know how to make money. In fact, a lot of them get in debt and get out, and get in debt and get out. So the proof is there that if they need to, cover this much revenue, they can. From let's say the bottom of the hole to baseline, but they can't really raise the baseline. So the way they get the dopamine hit is dig a hole, dig out, dig a hole, dig out, dig a hole, dig out, repeat, repeat, repeat. And you end up really tired. You feel like you've done so much, you have so many wins, you're still in the same place. Okay. Remedy: appreciate when bad things don't happen. Learn to appreciate and utilize maintenance, right? Nobody has a weight loss problem. Everybody that thinks they have a weight loss problem actually has a maintenance problem. Anybody that's been in business for more than a year doesn't have a marketing or sales problem. They have a maintenance problem. If they had a marketing and sales problem, they wouldn't be in business for over a year, right? So think about that. Try to align your incentives. Kind of look at the preponderance of data from the past. Look at the peaks and the valleys, and learn to appreciate when you have this. You have your peaks and valleys. It's always going to happen. Learn to appreciate when this valley is a little bit higher than the last valley, right? Learn to appreciate when the valleys aren't getting lower. Stuff like that. That's really how you make progress forward. It doesn't feel as exciting as getting yourself out of trouble. But if you really do want to move forward, if you want to move your life and your business forward more than you want a whole bunch of dopamine hits, you have to learn how to appreciate when bad things don't happen. I talk about it in my book. That's like what the whole book is about. It's bumpersbook.com. It's called Bumpers because it's the bumpers like in a bowling alley, right? Most people, as long as they avoid the gutter, are going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine. So we put up the bumpers, right? Think about that. Drop your comments if it's useful. If you have any thoughts, if you have any questions, learn to appreciate when bad things don't happen. That's when you catapult forward, because you stop hemorrhaging your resources. You stop spending all this time and effort digging yourself out of a hole all the time. I know it feels good, but you're not actually making any kind of relative progress forward. That's all I got. You guys are awesome. Bumpersbook.com if you want to snag the book, and comments below. or shoot me a message or whatever if you have any questions or you find this useful.